If you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter.
Let this be a reminder to you all that this organization will not tolerate failure.
Well, buddy boy, I want you to get excited here.
With the first pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Baker Mayfield.
Okay, listen up, people. I'm going to turn you clowns into a football team.
To the best fans, the most patient fans in the league, the Browns are going to win.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Do we have technical difficulties to deal with at the beginning of the show here?
Not anymore.
Oh, you fixed it. You got the right button. See, sorry, everybody. Let's start that over again then real quick.
Try it again.
Victory Monday, everybody. Victory Monday. You know what? Not even technical difficulties are going to get me down right now because everything is orange. I got my orange-colored goggles on. Where are your orange-colored goggles?
Lost in the mail. It's a back order issue.
I don't like your attitude right now.
Oh,
I don't like you.
That's hurtful.
I think that you should
That's
be.
hurtful.
You should be in orange goggles right now, seeing things
I need the prescription ones.
through orange lenses.
I kind of am.
All I'm saying is that everything is beautiful this way.
Coming up, Millhouse.
Everything is just coming up fantastic. Kevin.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this. The Cleveland Browns are 3-1 in September.
They are
3-1 in September, and everybody in Cleveland is absolutely excited now.
Everybody?
Everybody. Everybody who likes football, anyway.
Okay.
The people who are important in Cleveland right now are excited.
Well, fair enough.
I know I'm excited. The first time since 2001 that we are 3-1. I probably have like goggle marks on my.
You definitely
That's
do.
Fantastic in every way.
It's really great.
All right. Well, whatever. Worth it.
I will say.
Absolutely worth it.
I have a feeling we're going to get to this a little later in the show as well. But you did score one major convert in the greater Cleveland area this week.
Which was?
The gentleman.
Are you talking about Mr. Matthew J?
Oh, I didn't know we were going to name him right away.
Oh, no, we can call him out whenever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, though.
Yeah.
We'll see, because this might be a short-lived thing for him.
Short-lived stint on the bandwagon.
Yeah, because it's only a matter of time before he's again. So, but I'm going to let him come over to our side. I'm going to make a little room for him on the bandwagon, and he can come over and join us and
for now
enjoy how this feels for everybody. But I know that I'm excited about this. The first time since 2001, we're 3. Good Lord. It's 19 years ago.
That's a pretty low bar.
That's an incredibly low bar. And I saw another stat somewhere, too, and I can't, maybe you guys can check this, the validity of this. I didn't have time to before the show today. But I saw that this is only the 6th time in the last decade that we've won 3 games in a row. And on one hand, you're like, wow, that's pretty terrible as a stat. And I would agree with that. I dispute it because I just don't remember winning 3 games in a row ever, let alone it happening 6 times in the past 10 years. I think that I call BS on that, but it may be true.
You want to see the receipts?
I'm going to need some validation on that. So if anybody wants to look that up and double check it, I don't know, but all I know is that this feels good. You feel good apparently over there.
I feel
kind
very
of noises
good.
you making?
Well, no. So
it's not that kind of show,
as
Kevin.
As we've addressed, Matthew J has come over to the good side.
Okay.
For now.
For now.
And it has now been immortalized in the chat. He says he was wrong in a public forum.
Can we screenshot that?
Oh, I will be.
Okay, because we definitely need to get proof of that happening, because that's another thing that never, ever happens. But, yeah, you were. And I hope it hurts. But you know what? I'm not going to give you too much of a hard time over it. I'm just glad that you're here with the rest of us to enjoy this fantastic start here in September for the Cleveland Browns.
I'm not even a Browns fan, and I'm enjoying this ride.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm almost a Browns fan at this point, I guess.
Listen, we talked last week, Kevin. We talked about the start, and we talked about how important this game really, really was for us.
We did.
Because now you're going to build that momentum. And later on when we talk about the Colts here, which I made a terrible error on last week, and I will own that, and we will correct that error in a little bit. But the confidence is building, and you can see the confidence in this building. One of the things that I liked the most, I think the biggest takeaway, and unfortunately it happened at the expense of one of our star players, Nick Chubb, getting hurt and going down, which, you know, luckily it came out today. He didn't tear his MCL. They just disclosed it as an MCL injury. He's going to
doesn't need surgery.
Doesn't need surgery is the big one.
Crucial.
That it was absolutely fantastic to hear that he doesn't need that. There wasn't anything torn, no major structural damage. He's going to miss some weeks. He's going to need to rehab, but he will be back. He's going to go on IR for a few weeks. They don't know exactly how many. And to just to clarify something too, because I saw as well that David Njoku will be coming back off of IR, and this kind of led to a conversation that we had right before the show started. Because they've changed the IR rules in the NFL in general. You could have players coming back, which before it was you got injured, you went on IR, that was it, you were done for the season.
Right.
And then a couple years ago, they changed that. And I was asking you exactly what the rules were on it, because I thought it was like 2 players, but you had to miss 6 weeks, or it was unclear. But this year, can you just tell everybody exactly what it was that you looked up?
So they've tweaked them even more this year as a result of all of the
COVIDs.
The COVIDs. So this year, you can put a player on IR. They only have to be on IR for 3 weeks. It's no longer even the 6-week minimum. It's just 3 weeks, and you can bring back an unlimited number of players. Basically, you can send them back and forth as much as you need to.
Which is great.
Because and they've separated the IR from COVID issues.
Okay.
Basically, players that test positive for COVID, your Cam Newtons, they go on a separate commissioner's
exempt list.
Which is so the difference there is when you're on that list, you still get full salary.
Okay.
So you're not going to lose pay for getting sick.
Are you still going to be losing? You don't lose pay for going on IR or anything, though. That would be absurd.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I think normally if you're on that exempt list, you don't necessarily get.
Okay.
Because sometimes that list is used for, and again, the injury rules in the NFL are so ridiculous anyway, because there's injury reserve and then there's the non-football injuries. But I think sometimes non-football injury could end up on that commissioner's exempt list, depending on exactly what happens.
Right. In any event, though, however it shakes out, it's good for us because, in David Njoku got hurt in the first week, and he's going to be able to come back. Now they're going to be promoting him back to the active roster, so that adds one more weapon that we had. Unfortunately, we lose Chubb, but one of the most encouraging things that I think that we could all be happy about as Browns fans is it looked like the offense didn't miss a beat with him down. And I was very, very skeptical of what was going to happen. You see him go down and you're like, oh, man. Now, of course, listen, we have Kareem Hunt, and he's a great back. He's a great player. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but I was concerned then what happens after that. And we saw what happened after that, and it was the same thing that we've been seeing all year. It was we ran the football all over the state of Texas on Sunday.
That goes back to what we talked to week 2, is when there's hiccups in the game plan, what are they going to do? Because I think that's where, in years past, we've seen a lot of the floundering around in terms of play calling. But this year, you got a new head coach, and he's confident in his game plan.
And he's sticking to it
Exactly.
again. We talked last week when the Browns won, and we were like, hey, this is not something that we're used to seeing, from the Browns, was being able to pull out a win and the end like that. They completely shut Washington down in the fourth quarter. That was not the case in this game. Clearly, we almost Clevelanded ourselves.
You did.
We got real Clevelandy at the end of that game, but the one thing that we didn't do is, again, what the Browns are not used to doing, which was we stopped the bleeding, we won the game.
Right.
Normally, we would just collapse, and that would be the end. Because I know everybody in the city of Cleveland watching that game was just like, here it is. Here it is.
Sphincters were being tight.
It was bad, especially with. I'm just going to gloss over that. It really was, because it started off. We were getting torched on, on the first dairy. Which, let's get into that now. They were not good again, and I'm going to keep harping on them until they show me some improvement. But we're down 14-7, and then all of a sudden you score 34 straight points.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned to you earlier, when you score 34 straight points in a football game, it shouldn't be a question in the fourth quarter. You shouldn't be in a position to still lose that football game. It should be done.
You can give up a garbage time touchdown.
Sure, and that's
Maybe
kind of
two.
that's what I thought was happening. But again, to Dallas's credit and to Dak Prescott's credit, we saw them do this to Atlanta in week one.
Yep.
I mean, they were down a whole ton of points. They came back, beat Atlanta. They almost did the same thing to us again. I mean, it was 41-14 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, they're a field goal away.
Right.
And you're going, oh, shit. What is happening? What is happening right now? And for everybody in Cleveland, we were all thinking the same thing. They're like, here it is. We're going to blow it. We are going to blow this game. And they held on. The players, as the saying goes, big players make big plays in big games. And we had two huge plays in that fourth quarter. Obviously, the ridiculous end-around score by OBJ,
That
which
was something special.
I don't have words for. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before.
I don't know how it was like 4 Dallas defenders had him cornered on the sideline, and I swear none of them even made contact with him.
And then
he just cut right through him somehow.
It was almost like he was on a track. He just glided all the way to the end zone, and I was like, what happened there? How does that? So that was unreal. But again, Kevin, you talked about this, and we'll get into OBJ fully here in a couple minutes, but I want to bring up something that you said last week, because we were talking about the 4 plays that he made for first downs, and you said it's great to have OBJ who can make those plays when you need them, but he doesn't always have to.
Exactly.
And this kind of reinforces that. He kind of had to this week, and oh, baby, did he.
Exactly. And I would argue he didn't have to. He just wanted to show you he still can.
Right. Oh, he can. And
I don't think anyone doubted that he could.
No.
But it's nice, again, to be in a position where you don't need him to be the savior week in and week out.
And to see the different ways that he goes about doing it, too. I mean, he had 73 yards rushing in the game, including that ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous play. But at the end of the game, too, we also had Denzel Ward showing up with the interception at the end. And those 2 plays sealed the game for the Browns. And we're not used to that. We don't see that. We're not used to it, and I want to get used to it because this is what good football teams do. This is what fans of good football teams are used to seeing, closing out games, star players making plays, and all of our star players on this team made plays in this game. Everybody showed up the way that they should have, in a way that we expect them to. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns. 3 players rushing over 70 yards. It was absolutely insane. So overall, I'm happy with, obviously, the win. I'm happy with being 3-1 in September. I like the way we stuck to the game plan. We did have an offensive explosion, which we talked about that again. I just kind of felt something like that was going to happen. Dallas's defense is not good. No. They're not good, and we are very, very talented on that side of the ball. So seeing that, On the offense?
Oh, I thought you were talking about your defense.
No,
Sorry.
I was talking about the Browns on offense.
Yes.
Have a lot of talent. So that matchup, it just screamed to me, a lot of points, and obviously same thing with the inverse of that, Dallas's offense versus our defense. I saw that as being a major flaw, and it was. We almost collapsed, but we didn't. We showed some resiliency. We dug down. We got it done. And the Browns are 3-1 in September, and I personally couldn't be any happier. It was 2001. I don't remember that. It was almost 20 years ago. I wasn't even 25 years old then. It's crazy to even think about.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. But so we'll get into it now. There's a lot going on with the game. So we're going to do this. We got the good, bad, and the ugly, and we're going to break down all three of those things right now. Let's throw up the good.
There it is.
The good, 307 rushing yards. That is just stupid. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But it shows a level of commitment for me that I cannot stress how much I love, because we don't see that here in Cleveland. 49 points scored, the most since 2007 when we beat the Bengals. I think 51-45 was the score of that game. I actually referenced that to somebody in a text message during the game. I was able to dig back 13 years. It's crazy.
And you don't remember 2001.
Listen, I can't go. I was doing a lot of things in 2001, Kevin. Once again, Baker Mayfield, another rating of 100, over 100 for the game. It's his third week in a row. I love what I'm seeing out of Baker, and even more, I love what's being asked of him.
Exactly. It's play calls that fit his style of play.
Exactly.
That fit the offensive weapons you have.
And finally, turnovers. We got 3 more turnovers, which the defense, they're maligned, and they're going to get it. They're still going to get it from me, but I'm happy that they had the turnovers that they got. Myles Garrett.
Oof.
I don't even know what to say at this point. This is 3 straight weeks with a strip sack. He's leading the NFL in sacks. He's clearly playing a very, very different game than everybody else is.
And I think last year had a lot to do with that. I think last year he came into the season very publicly talking about wanting to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he did.
Some of the penalties at the beginning of the season derailed that.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh game obviously was a huge problem for that.
He got a little antsy.
A little bit. But I think this year, that's still his focus. I think he's realized I don't need to talk about it. I need to do it.
Yeah, don't talk about it. Be about it.
There you go.
That's it. And he's definitely being about it. There's no question about that. He's being about, and he was on the same tear last year. I think that before the incident before the incident with the other team that involved the helmet. He was leading the NFL in sacks at that time, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. I believe that's correct.
And then he missed the rest of the year, obviously, due to the suspension. And it's good to see that it hasn't quelled his fire or his desire at all. I think maybe it emboldened him a little bit. Mm-hmm. And he's coming out, and he's just, again, he's playing on a completely different level than anybody else. And he's unstoppable. He does what he wants. When I'm seeing him getting stopped, it's kind of shocking to me, but after he got at one point they were literally putting 2 and 3 guys. They were triple teaming him at some points. And once you're doing that allows everybody else on that line to start doing stuff. I mean, Olivier Vernon had himself a game. The defensive line as a whole, they were just in the face and in the backfield of Dallas and Dak Prescott all game long, getting to those pressures. Bring that. You had a stat on that. You can bring that up if you want, because the way that defense was just dominating up front in that line. Myles Garrett 5 pressures on 46 rushes, 2 sacks. Olivier Vernon 8 pressures. He had a fumble recovery as well. I mean, these guys on the ends are just, and then on the inside too. Everybody else, Sheldon Richardson. These guys are just. They're doing it at a level that I've never seen as an entire unit before, and they're just nasty up front, and they're making plays, and they're doing exactly what they should be doing. It's so fun to watch. It's so great to see, and I can't talk anymore about how exciting it is to get to watch this because we're just not used to this level of play. Right. This is elite of elite, especially when you're talking about Myles Garrett. Elite is it. He's above elite. He's ultra elite.
Yes. the line. Once you get beyond the line.
Well, and that's when we get into the first dairy. Which is going to be part of the uglies, or the bad, sorry. Yeah. We can bring up the bad.
There it is.
And the bad is giving up 500 yards passing to Dak Prescott in this game. And
you've given up 1,200 on the season. So that's basically half your season in pass yards in one
they're
game.
Getting just torched. They are so bad after you get past. Our linebackers, again, are adequate. They're doing some things. Mm-hmm. Also, in the 3 consecutive 2-point conversions, I don't know if that's ever been done in an NFL game before. I have no idea, but it's absolutely absurd. That's like a 50-50 thing, converting a 2-point conversion.
It should be, yeah.
So to do that 3 times in a row is absolutely insane.
It's like flipping heads 3 times.
Yeah, I don't know how you allow that to happen as a defensive unit. 1, I could see, maybe even 2, right. I could see, but you've got to be ready because you know that they're going to do it. They're trying to get back in the game. You've got to be able to shut that down. And then finally, what the last stat that we had?
Oh, it was just first area.
Yeah, just the first area. This is what I thought. I forgot my own graphic there. They're bad. They're just not playing well at all. We've got one player who's showing up and has been all season, and he did again, and that's Denzel Ward. It's him out on an island and scrubs. Just scrubs. Absolute scrubs. They're terrible. I've never seen this level of horrible backfield play from one particular loon. It's
not good.
They're out of position. They don't know where they are. They don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And then now, we can go to it right now.
And that's how you give up 500 passes.
And it is.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Now we can get to the ugly because there's 2 things that I want to point out. Number 1, the shit brown color rush jerseys. I could not stand them.
They're bad.
They were terrible. I hope I never see them again. But this guy, he's worse than the uniforms. This guy right here doesn't even need to be in the city of Cleveland right now. He should be tarred, feathered, drug out of his hotel, and sent back to wherever the hell he came from.
Minnesota.
Because, send him to Minnesota.
I'd be okay if he went back to Minnesota.
Send him to the Arctic Circle. I don't care. Just get him away from my football team. And you want to know what is absolutely absurd? Absurd? He was a team captain for this game.
Really?
And he was absolutely torched. He was abused. You want to know the best way to find? You want to know how you can find him on the football field? There's one real easy way to always find where Andrew Sendejo is on the football field. He's always the closest player to the guy who just scored a touchdown for the other team. That's how terrible he is. Right. He doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's stopping turnovers from happening. He's running into our own players, which are it's the most.
I also have one of the interceptions though.
He had a turnover, yes, and I get it, but I don't care because he's the
it
reason.
Doesn't make up for everything.
No, he's the reason Dallas went and had that run in the fourth quarter that they did. It was abysmal play. And again, I understand it's an entire unit and they all have to own it together, but this guy was just terrible. He had a terrible game, and I'm not going to let up on him. I'm going to keep giving it to him as long as he keeps putting out efforts like that. I just don't care. It's awful to watch. This is where we talked about this last week. Mm-hmm. This is where I really wish that I could do some highlights and show some things because he is just off wandering the desert like a nomad looking for water. He doesn't know anything about the game of football. I can't put it any worse. Don't care. Hyperbole. Whatever. Awfulness.
Not good.
Awfulness. So that's the good, bad, and the ugly of the game.
I want to make one back up to the bad for 1 second.
Okay.
You did give up 3 consecutive 2-point conversions.
Yes.
You also converted one, and yours was way cooler.
Okay. Which I don't even know what happened there. It was only a play that the Cleveland Browns could possibly have been a part of. Mm-hmm. Usually those type of things go against us, but you all saw it. It was fumbled, and then it went into the end zone.
It was blocked.
Well, it was blocked.
And then fumbled.
But Dallas recovered it.
Yes.
Sort of. I think.
Almost.
Then they fumbled it. It wound up going into the end zone, which we recovered it, and the referees had to stop the game for about 27 minutes and talk about it
because
they didn't even know what the hell happened. I'll be honest, I didn't know how to rule that, but they finally they ruled it in favor of us,
right?
And they gave us credit for the 2-point conversion, but it was the referee explaining it when he came out and he was like, after review, he's like, the 2-point conversion attempt is good. And I'm like, that wasn't a 2-point conversion attempt.
They were definitely lined up for an extra point.
They were going for a PAT, just a typical normal kick. And somehow we turned that into a 2-point conversion attempt, which we got.
Which is pretty awesome.
So, yeah, I don't know. But, hey,
it
look.
was ridiculous to try to follow because I don't have the kind of money. Well, the NFL and Game Pass. We've had this discussion and how stupid it is that it's 2020 and I can't watch the game that I want to watch.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
So
another thing. Wait, are you telling me again you wanted to give the NFL money and they're saying no?
They're saying no.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The NFL.
Because I don't want to give DirecTV money because I already have all the other TV I need anyway. So trying to follow that on a box score of the game was the most ridiculous thing. Because it's like, okay, they scored a touchdown. And then it took forever. And then it was play under review. So for a second, I had already seen tweets of the touchdown. So I'm like, what are they reviewing there? There was no holding. He didn't step out of bounds. You know, what are they reviewing there? I didn't realize
it was
the conversion that was under review.
I think at one point they had to establish whether or not Dallas had actually gotten possession of the ball.
Right.
And I have no idea. All I know is that you could watch the entire second half of Titanic in the amount of time that they took to sort that play out.
See, I would have slipped in the Benny Hill music instead, but
Benny Hill, nice reference. All right.
I mean, Titanic, I think would work there too.
I'll ding you for Benny Hill.
Thank you.
I like that one.
I'll take credit.
Yeah. So that was that. Mark it down. Mark it 8, dude. So, yeah, I mean, it was definitely a strange part of the game there, but nonetheless, the Browns still, like I said earlier, they were able to hold on. They get this victory
on the road.
On the road,
I think that's something that is not granted with the stadium rules the way they are this season. It's not the same as playing in Dallas at full capacity, but that's a road win in Dallas.
It is still a road win in Dallas, and I know that was exciting for a couple of our star players because Myles Garrett's from A&M, and Baker, born and raised in Texas.
Yep.
And I know he was jazzed up. He's not going to say that he was, but you know that he was jazzed up to go into Texas and play.
Now that you say that, I think he is also kind of taken a page from that same Myles Garrett playbook. He's a lot quieter this season.
He is a lot quieter, and
Baker haters will say that he's maturing, but I don't think it was ever a maturity issue.
I never thought it was. And here's the thing too, for me, the cocky Baker didn't bother me at all.
I've got no problems with it.
I loved it when he was being cocky, and I'm going to tell you what, he may not be saying anything to the cameras right now. And then here's another thing, too. You got to understand that we're in a completely different atmosphere, media-wise and stuff.
It's all
there's
Zoom
nobody.
interviews.
There's nobody in locker room. There's plenty of time for people to settle down and this and that. You know, you're not coming out immediately after, to a room full of reporters and all of this. So a lot of the emotion, I think, has time to dial down a little bit.
That's
and then
true.
the setup is completely different. Nobody is in front of you. There's no... the personality, the ability to see that really isn't there. I think that makes a big difference.
That's a good point.
I do, however, think that Baker is being just as cocky and just as brash in that locker room and amongst his teammates.
Oh, I think absolutely.
Because I still think that he is the leader that we need him to be. And staying on him, actually, the run game and what we are doing, I cannot stop singing the praises of how amazing this is for Baker Mayfield and how much this benefits him, because you're not asking Baker Mayfield to go out there and lead this team and be the man that's orchestrating and running this entire offense. He doesn't need to do that right now. We're running the football down everyone's throat, and that allows him to relax, take it easy, run your play action plays, do a few things here and there.
It opens up
that
the play calling dramatically.
And there's no pressure on him. And you're seeing him respond to it again. He's completing over 60% of his passes. Now, second week in a row, no turnovers. Because Baker's not throwing the football 50 times in a game.
Right.
He's not being asked to do everything.
Well, and you're not constantly in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8.
Exactly.
Where he's taking the chancy passes.
Right.
When it's 3rd and 2, you've got a lot more options. You don't have to throw it.
And when you're constantly running the football, you're not always behind. You're not behind in games. And when you can be ahead in a game, you can keep running the football. You don't have to be playing catch up and having to take all these chances. And that's when Baker goes into that, that gunslinger mode. And either something great's going to happen or something bad's going to happen. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have to do all of that. And it just makes this offense hum and click so much better and lets him mature more and more in this system. I think that if we just keep this game plan all year long, you're just going to see Baker's level of play continue to go up and up and up. And as he gets into that second year and into that third year, then you're going to see just an absolute you're going to see it go. You're going to see a really good quarterback. So I'm happy, and I could be wrong. I don't know. There's still a lot of people that hate Baker Mayfield. They're going to bag on him because he had a bad year last year. Whatever. Poo-poo for them. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. Yeah. I'm excited to see the way that we're doing it. I like the way that it's happening. I like the progression, and I like what I'm seeing out of Baker. I do. I think that he's doing a perfect job with this offense.
Well, and to your point about being behind in games, early in this game, Dallas is up 14-7.
Yeah.
It could have gone a totally different way.
It could have.
And in years past, it probably would have.
Yeah, well, and then we lose Chubb on top of it, and, but you have to give it up to D'Ernest Johnson, right? I forgot D'Ernest Johnson. He goes down, and I kind of touched on this before. Then we get Hunt back. You're going to Hunt then, and that's fine. And he's a beast, and he did his. He ate, but then he comes into Ernest Johnson, and it was like, who's this guy?
Right.
I honestly didn't even know who he was because he never even. Why would I? Yeah. We've got this 2-headed monster, and he comes in, and I was like, oh, we've got a 3-headed monster.
Yeah.
And then Hilliard's running, and I'm like, oh, we just have a monster. We just have and
you know who that reminds me of?
Please.
The Packers.
In running?
Yeah. A couple years ago, they would just plug in anybody back
Anybody.
there, and
Well,
they'd
that's
rattle
true.
off 80-yard games.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
When
And
you've got a good system, as long as they're competent backs, and do not get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that Hunt is just a competent back.
Yeah,
He's
no.
clearly amazing.
yeah, he's an NFL rushing leader.
Yeah. But you can put in other people in that same role.
Yeah.
And they're going to be better than they'd otherwise be.
Yeah. And also it comes down to the execution of the offensive line. And
100%.
Let's not take anything away from that. Every week there's one more box that I'm checking that I'm not used to checking, which is Browns have an offensive line, and a good one. Another thing we're not used to here. We have a terrible offensive line year after year. It's always awful, and now we don't. These guys are playing, and they're playing almost just as well as the defensive line is. And, Kevin, you know this just as well. You've been a football fan your whole life.
A little bit.
Good teams are built in the middle. If you have a good defensive line
Absolutely.
and you have a good offensive
Absolutely.
line, you have a good football team, period. That's just how that works. And we're seeing that actually prove itself because we have great offensive line play. We have great defensive line play, and the Browns are getting it done. This offensive line, when you're running the ball the way that we are, and it doesn't matter when your star running back goes down and you pull a guy off the bench, it's the next man up mentality. You plug him in, and he rips off 95 yards. You have something.
Absolutely.
You really, really have something, and it's a credit to the coaching staff, to the system that they're putting in place, and it's a credit to the offensive line and the way that these guys are playing. And again, I want to point out OBJ because again, this guy was blocking his ass off in this game. And I wish I could highlight some plays and circle him, with something shiny because he was doing it the whole game. You could see the pride in him when he's doing it too.
You know that even if we could show highlights, we still don't have a telestrator, right?
I would do something. I would
Sharpies on a whiteboard.
I can whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll figure something out.
Okay.
Can I get like a little, laser pointer or something like that? I use a laser pointer. That's
Laser
it.
pointer. Okay.
But yeah, game balls and goats here. We're gonna start a new thing. The game balls and goats.
It's a new thing.
Yeah, this is a basic thing.
You were talking about Ernest and OBJ, so I figured I'd prompt
yeah,
you along.
and those are my three. The three guys who stand out to me the most. Myles Garrett for playing just absolutely otherworldly. I don't even know what planet this guy's from anymore. To Ernest Johnson for stepping in and taking over for an injured Nick Chubb, spelling Kareem Hunt, and just contributing in the way and manner that he did. He had some good runs. And OBJ, what a ball game from this dude. I mean, I can't sing it. I can't come up with superlatives for him. It was just an awesome game all the way around.
All the way around.
And I know that I have Sendejo on there as the GOAT because he really was. I'm not going to bag on the guy anymore. I've said what I had to say about him. But I want to add one on there, and it's the refs. Because one thing, and it's just in one aspect here, I thought that the game was called really well overall. I didn't see it. Nothing had me jumping out of my seat going, oh, that's a terrible call or anything. But one thing that I do not like, and I don't know if it has to do specifically with OBJ and his reputation, he's getting held a lot. There was a play in this game. It was as wide open and easy a touchdown as you're ever going to see in the NFL. And it was a perfect throw by Baker, and it wound up falling for an incompletion because the defensive back of Dallas grabbed on. First, he grabbed him by the waist and then just pulled on his. And I'm not talking about like a quick tug. I'm talking about just yanking and clearly holding him back. And this is something that I have been seeing every single week, game after game after game, and they're letting these defensive backs get away with it.
You're not wrong, but it's not just OBJ. I saw something, and this was after the games last week. I can't remember. It was on Twitter's somewhere. I don't know if it was Next Gen Stats or someone like that. But
the
it was
intrawebs.
It was a breakdown of like penalty calls by percentage year to year, and it went back to like 2016 or 2017. And the number of holding calls this season is way off of where it's been historically the last several years. Yeah. So it's not just OBJ, and it's not like this time your imagination.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't,
because I think the NFL may have sent a message to refs that they want to see higher scoring games.
Oh, well, and that's clearly the case because we're off to an absolutely historic. The scoring is historic. The number of touchdowns is historic. The number of yards is historic. Everything this year is just through the roof, off the charts, record setting. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane what's going on with scoring, but you can't let it come at that expense. You know what I mean? And you've got to be able to. And I'm campaigning for more scoring, but you've got to call those penalties, though. You can't just let Odell Beckham Jr. be held and have his shirt just almost ripped off by the defensive back in front of the ref, and the ref goes, well, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. I'm just telling you, that's a gripe. I'm griping.
We could go back to replacement refs. Is that what you're looking for?
Why would you even go down that road, man?
Listen, as a Packers fan, I have very specific gripes against the replacement refs.
I bet you do. So is anybody giving us a hard time in the chat right now? I see you glancing over there.
A little bit. Brandon is here again.
What's up, Brandon?
He's weighing in again about the 2-point conversion. Only the Browns.
Yeah.
Only the Browns.
And by the way, Brandon, he texted me earlier, and he wanted me to give some love to Cody Parkey.
And that was literally his next comment. His next comment is, if you don't give Parkey some love, I'm unsubscribing.
Yeah, okay. Well, you can unsubscribe because Cody Parkey sucks.
We don't want, and please don't unsubscribe. Don't listen to what Mike is saying.
Listen.
We value all of our subscribers. And if you're not yet a subscriber, if you notice down here on the bottom, in the middle, can't.
There,
it's like a mirror. I can't point.
There we go.
The one in the middle there. That's the YouTube.
That one.
Click on that one.
Yeah, click that guy right there.
There's a little link right below this video that you too can subscribe to the Parking Lot Show.
Subscribe to all of it. But yeah, sorry, dude. Cody Parkey sucks. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't have any confidence in him. He looks like a kicker. He
looks like a kicker.
He dresses like a kicker. He has a kicker's uniform, but he's terrible. He's a terrible kicker. He was selling insurance, I think, before the season
it's
started.
Important to have a backup plan.
Listen, if what's-his-name wouldn't have completely shit the bed in the first game, this guy wouldn't even have a job. I don't know what to tell you. He doesn't inspire confidence in me, and I don't think that he's solid. So what do you... I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke.
But he did play a part in a very special 2-point conversion.
He played a part, all right. He got a field goal blocked.
I, again, didn't...
How do you get a PAT blocked?
I didn't watch that part of the play, so I don't know where the breakdown in the actual kick was.
PAT, you should be the angle... Listen, I'm not getting into it. He's terrible. Sorry, deal with it.
You're not getting into it because you can't figure out the math of the trajectory.
I don't. Too high. What do you mean too high? Who gives a shit? It's gone.
That's the wrong sport entirely.
It doesn't matter.
Here we are.
Anything else from over there?
He's just more of the same.
More of the same. Sorry, but listen, I don't know what to tell you. And
apparently it was blocked because someone was offsides.
Yeah, whatever.
I still don't care.
Who cares? It doesn't. I'm not going down that road anymore. It is what it is.
Messages are in all caps now, so I think we've.
Okay, anger. Yeah, it's anger. Whatever. He lives in Michigan. And I see, hi, social media, Jessica. She's doing things over here. I know that she was signaling you too, so I'm hoping that there are fantastic things happening on the Twitter feed right now.
Yeah, she just wanted to. She was making sure that she had the correct name for segments.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Yeah. Accuracy is a good thing.
Which she almost got right.
All right. Well, that's good. Again, accuracy is good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move it along here, Kevin.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. We are going to let's bring up the AFC North, the North report. Obviously, Pittsburgh didn't play this weekend because I don't know. They've got COVID. The Titans have COVID. A bunch of them have COVID.
Everybody got COVID.
Everybody got that. They got that Rona. Everybody got that Rona. So they were idle. 3-0. They're going to make that up probably during their bye week or something, which is kind of weird, but whatever. Baltimore 3-1. Cleveland 3-1. God, it just looks so good. And look at Cincinnati getting their first W of the year. Joe Burrow.
They almost look like a real football team.
He threw for over 300 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, he put up some numbers there for him. So that's what's going on with us, or in the division right now. I like seeing us sitting at that number in September. It's just so weird and strange to me to see. One other thing I wanted to throw into when it came into team records, because last week we were talking about Washington, and now we're playing Dallas. I would just like to point out that the Cleveland Browns have as many wins as the NFC East combined as an entire division.
As a group.
As a group. What a terrible, terrible, terrible division that's going to be.
There should be a rule that you can only make the playoffs as a division winner if your record is above 500.
You got to do something, man. Because
they're bad.
Maybe Dallas is probably going to turn around and find a way to finish like 9-7 or something like that and squeak it out. But I just like that the Browns have as many wins as an entire division in September. That's rather impressive to me. Yeah. So I'm not mad about seeing Dallas be terrible. Well, I know. And if you want to, you want to take your shot. I'm going to take the high road. Are you sure? Because you don't have to. We're not about the high road on this show. You can go low.
We're not.
You just saw what I did to our DB.
That's true.
That man should not be on a football field at all. He should have to play the next game in a dress. That's what I'm going with. Wow. I said it.
I didn't.
I don't feel bad.
Okay.
That's how terrible he played.
Okay.
Moving along. To next week, Kevin.
Next week.
Bring up the records here. Let's start. The Browns are 3-1.
Right. But do you need to start with your apology from last week?
What was my apology for?
Next week's game.
Why? What am I apologizing for?
The things you said about a football team that you're playing next week.
Oh, okay. Well, here, let's first get the record.
Right.
We'll first get the record up. because once again I won. And
You did.
what was the final score that I predicted last week?
I should have listened back to the tape, but it's very similar.
41-38.
Yeah.
I said 41-38.
Did you?
I called just about everything in this game perfectly.
Except for that 2-point conversion.
Well,
That if it weren't for that, you would have been.
You can't win them all, Kevin. But listen, I'm 4-0 so far this season.
Yes.
And I'm going to face my biggest test of the year now because I got to pick this game, and I will apologize. I was wrong when we were looking down the schedule here last week.
Can you look into the camera
I will
and say
look
that one more time?
I was wrong.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I'll be clipping that for you later.
I didn't say anything specific, but I think we both collectively
kind of
dismissed
we trash
the
talked
Colts.
the whole schedule.
Right.
It's a very easy schedule.
And specifically the Colts, because I talked about if we won this game against Dallas, we could look to the Colts and already think an easy win.
And then you face the Steelers, and it's not a must-win game. And
well,
et cetera.
I actually started paying attention to the Colts this week and started looking some things up about the Colts.
One might say doing your job for this program.
Yes, actually. I was doing research. Who figured that? They're kind of good.
Yeah.
They're kind of good. Good to the tune of, like, by far the best defense in the NFL.
Oh, it's only the best.
I mean, they're number one in almost every major statistical category. Yards per game, points allowed, average yards per play. I mean, they're stout on defense. And they are absolutely shutting teams down. So this is going to be a challenge for the Browns. This is absolutely going to be a challenge for this offense. Yeah. And we're really going to see now what this offensive line is made out of because they're the Colts up front. And that's where everything's starting with them.
Well, and they've got a quarterback who's not too shabby with the ball.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Phillip Rivers is another one of these dinosaurs. This guy's 38 years old, but he's playing pretty much the best football of his career right now, or at least along his career average.
Right.
Now, it's Phillip Rivers. He could have a real Phillip Rivers type of game, and that could go either way.
It's entirely possible. Yes.
And what I worry about, though, again, is that first dairy of ours. I worry what he's going to do to them.
Right.
I worry where we're going to be. Hopefully, the bum Sendejo isn't playing. I mean, I'll take Sheldrick Redwine, get him in the game. Anybody other than that dude. And I don't know. Hopefully we can get Greedy Williams back. Greedy Williams has been healthy the last 2 weeks. He's been practicing.
Yeah, he's been back in practice.
Yeah, he had the shoulder injury. He's been back in practice. And the last 2 weeks, though, he's been like a healthy scratch from the game. So it kind of makes me wonder exactly what's going on. Was it maybe a little worse than what they thought? Are they just slow playing a little bit? But it would be great to get him back in there and to help shore up that defense, opposite Denzel Ward. But we need a lot of help still in that backfield. And Phillip Rivers has the opportunity to really shred us if he wanted to, because he's a good quarterback. It's going to come down to me, I think, what our defensive line can do, because Phillip Rivers does not move. He's not a runner. He's not a threat to run. He's pretty much a statue back there. So if you can get to him and you can get that same amount of pressure and you can bring heat on Phillip Rivers, that will be huge for this defense to overcome what the Colts are going to throw at you. It's all going to start up front there. And if Miles can keep playing the way that he's playing, probably get another strip sack. I don't know. That would be fantastic. But that's where it all starts. If the Colts can contain somehow our defensive line, we might be in for a really long day, because I don't see there's nothing that leads me to believe that Phillip Rivers couldn't completely shred our secondary. All you got to do is stay away from Denzel Ward, and he can pick it apart all he wants to. So we need to get that pressure. We need to have them stout up front. On the other side of the football, same thing. It's going to be up front. Are we going to be able to challenge that Colts defense? It's not just that the running backs that we have are good and talented. They are. I think we've clearly mentioned that a lot. But when you have that plug-and-play type system, you need to be able to execute. Are you still going to be getting those gigantic holes? Are you still going to be opening things up for those running backs in the way that we have been the last few weeks against that Colts defense, which is a completely different animal than anything else that we faced so far? Doing it against the Cowboys, I don't really think that that's that much of a challenge because they're not good on defense. Doing it against arguably the best defense, not arguably, they are the best
on
defense.
On paper, they are the best.
And in nearly every major statistical category that matters, at least, they're number one. So can you do that against the number one defense? And if you can't at first, if you can't run that football, what do you kind of go to? You don't want to have Baker, like we talked about, going into that gunslinger, what am I going to do mode.
Right.
You
Slinging
still
it
want to
around.
have some sort of structure, some sort of a backup plan that you can lean on going forward in the game if your run game's not working. If it is, that's great. You're just proving that you have the ability to just dominate your opponent, and we've been doing it all year. I mean, we really, really have. Obviously, we had the hiccup in the first week where just nothing was working, and I'm starting to think that maybe that was more of an outlier. At least I hope.
I think, yeah.
You know, what is going to transpire, I don't know. It's definitely going to be a challenge.
The Colts have some weapons on offense, too. And it's not just Phillip Rivers' ability.
No, it's not.
You've got guys like T.Y. Hilton, Jack Doyle, their tight end, one of the best in the league. I obviously am very partial to Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. You know,
and they're 3-1 too.
Yeah,
they're 3-1 too. They're getting it done on both sides of the ball. For me, I'm curious as to Baker Mayfield. I think is going to be the key in this game, because if your offense is getting shut down, specifically the run game, and that defense is playing the way that they're capable of playing, this is when you do need that elite level quarterback to step up and be that guy and be the man and play to that ability and say, hey, I know that you're the best defense in the league. I'm going to beat you anyway.
Wild card.
No brakes. Charlie, you pulled the brakes.
No, I think the wild card for this game, though, is it's at home and you get 12,000
fans.
Exactly.
12,000 fan helps.
12,000 fans with something to cheer about.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of paper bags on heads.
And you want to stay motivated for that too, because again, we won one on the road. Mm-hmm. We want to stay undefeated at home. Again, you want to win your games at home. Split on the road. You're 12-4. That's the goal every single season. That's what you want to shoot for. You do want to defend home. I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a much lower scoring affair. You're not going to see what you saw before. This is the first time I'm going to make a pick here where I feel homerish about it, because I am going to take the Browns, but we could lose this game. Again, if we're not, it all comes down to whether or not we can get pressure on Phillip Rivers, because he's going to destroy our secondary if he has time to sit back there and throw. If he's pressured, it's a different story. The one thing that we do and have been doing is getting turnovers.
Yes.
So if we can force him into some bad throws, rush some throws, make a couple bad decisions, I'm confident about that.
If you get the same level of pressure on Phillip Rivers that you did on Dak,
right,
that's going to bode well.
It would. And keep in mind, though, that you got to take that with a grain of salt, though, too, because Dak still threw for over 500 yards.
True.
It's a very, very vulnerable area. A lot of it is going to depend on Greedy. Mm-hmm. If he can come back and really shore some things up for us, Baker Mayfield's play is going to be big for me. Can he take that next step into being that franchise-type quarterback in this situation?
That's where I think, again, fans are going to be key to help get him in that mindset and keep him there.
I think, and that's why I want to see a little bit of that cockiness that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Come out a little bit cocky.
This
because
is a game that you should be fired up
Yeah,
for.
you might need to be cocky. You might need to play at that extra level because, we are still missing Chubb. I don't know if DeErnest has got the same ability to come out and play like he did last week. Is it just was he amped up, or can he continue to do this? And you've got to spell Kareem Hunt at some point. So I'm really looking for him to elevate his play. I'm not sure if it's all going to be in the cards, but I'm calling it right now, Kevin. I'm calling my shot. I'm calling Browns.
Okay.
I'm going to go Browns 24, Colts 20.
24-20.
24-20. I mean, we're going to break through on a couple of plays, and they're certainly going to break through on a couple of plays. Hopefully I'm wrong, and it's 58-0, Browns. but I don't see that happening.
I don't think that's
and I
gonna
do think that there is the opportunity for us to lose this game. It could very easily be 24-20 the other way, but I'm going to go with the Browns, and I think that we're going to be sitting at 4-1, getting ready for Steeler Week.
I think this is going to be a great test of confidence in the game plan.
For sure. And and that's why I was saying earlier too, from the standpoint of Kevin Stefanski and what we're doing. What do you do if that defense starts shutting you down? How are you going to adjust to it? It's great to see us being as consistent as we possibly can be and sticking to what we're good at, but you need to be able to make adjustments when things aren't working. And I think that that's something that really threw us in the Baltimore game. We came out with an identity, we wanted to do something, and it immediately wasn't working, and we balked. And we went, oh, I don't know what to do now. And then that was it. We were done against that talented of a squad.
Since then, the game plan has been much more consistent,
right?
Even when faced with those situations where it wasn't working the way it was planned.
And we faced these different situations too. Washington came back on us a little bit, but then we shut them down in the fourth quarter. Dallas had a huge, huge comeback against us, and we still tried to keep doing what we were doing, and it eventually paid off in the long run. So I'm hoping that that's what keeps happening in this game. 24-20 Brownies, baby.
I feel like every time you talk about Kevin Stefanski, I need a lower third that says the coach Mike slammed the Browns for hiring.
Him. Hope springs eternal, Kevin. Listen, I love being proven wrong if it means my team is succeeding.
No, that's a good point. That's
you know what
point.
I mean?
Yeah.
I was. You saw me when we got rid of Fred. I wanted to fire the owner because we're so tired of the same thing here, and we're not seeing the same thing right now.
No, you're not. You're seeing all of the little changes that turn the team around.
And it gives me confidence. If I keep seeing them, I'm going to keep gaining confidence. Hopefully the team keeps gaining confidence too. So before we sign off for the night, do we have P-Dubs up there with his 20 years of suck questions? Did he have one at all?
I have not seen anything from him this evening, so we may not have one.
We
tonight.
may have lost him. For the. It's only one.
That's only one.
All right. Anybody else though? Any questions in the chat?
Eric Evans pointing out that Grady has a bone bruise on the shoulder, and that's what's taken so long to heal.
Okay, and that's certainly
that's certainly understandable to be practicing, but not necessarily game ready.
Getting in there, and you're talking about a bone. It could really. Good God, man. No. That could be a significant injury. Hopefully, he's healed up to get back out there. I don't know. I am not a doctor. I have no idea how long something like that takes.
You're not a doctor?
I'm not. Believe it or not, I know that I look and act like one, and I'm astute and well spoken. I write like crap too. So, but no, I have no idea. So I hope that he can get back out there. Hopefully that makes a big difference for us. Any parting shots?
I had one, and now I've lost it completely.
You've lost it?
Yeah, your Dr. Tangent just...
You sure you don't want to take your shot at Mike McCarthy? Are you sure this is your chance, man? This is your chance.
Listen.
By the way, Stephen A. Smith, if nobody saw
it,
too,
gosh, that was glorious.
Stephen A. Smith trolling the Cowboys and just in his living room eating cookies and milk, laughing hysterically that we hung 49 on him was fantastic. So that was definitely worth the price of admission.
And we talked about that last week too. We knew it was going to be if the
Somebody
game
brought
turned
it
out
up.
that way, it was going to be good.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was going to be that good.
Definitely worth it. Kevin, one more thing before we go to something that we didn't get to touch on last week. And I'll let you introduce it, or at least I'll let you get to it because it was the show title for last week. And how it came, why it was what it was, and how it came up, because it's really good. I was proud of you for it.
It took us. We actually put. It may not seem like it. We put some thought into this show from time to time. And the titles we use on some of the graphics, the titles that we come up with for the shows on YouTube is something that we actually think about from time to time. And last week we came up with 45 and dog years. And then during the show,
never mentioned
it. Never alluded to what that
what
was
it meant,
at
because
all.
it's a weird title.
It is a weird title.
It's a very weird title.
But it stemmed from talking about the first time the Browns are above 500 in however many years.
It was 84 games.
84 games.
And it was it's like 6.5 years or whatever.
Yeah, and that's 45 in dog
years. And Kevin just blurted out, that's 45 in dog years. Which I was like, well, now we've got our show title right there, boys and girls.
It's funny because
it's true.
The Browns mascot is a dog.
Oh, my God.
And 45 is a long time.
Didn't you just tell me to just not insult people and tell them to? Because now you just did. Now you're berating my audience.
Well, we're talking to Browns fans.
Oh, hey, all right. Join us next week when we have a new producer for the show because Kevin has been dismissed.
Yeah, let's see who punches buttons for you.
Well, we'll have social media Jessica do it. Jessica, can you push these buttons? Sure. Do you know what those buttons do? No. All right. She said yes. She'll be fine.
No.
We'll make it work. All right, boys and girls. Thanks for listening, watching, all of that today. Check out all the links at the bottom. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to all of that stuff. Keep checking us out. Tell your friends. Tell us that we suck. We're out.
Sounds good.